Hi, everybody. It's episode 507 of PodQuest.
Hey.
It is Tuesday, April 30th, 2024. I am Chris. With me is Druten.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you sure?
Not really. I don't know. I don't know where I'm at. I'm melting. It's hot.
It is, this weather is ridiculous.
Right?
It was 62, I think, on Saturday.
Yep.
I was freezing. It might not have been Saturday, but it might have been someday, one of the days last week. Might have been Saturday. I think it was Saturday. I was freezing. I was ice cold in my house. And now, last night, I couldn't even sleep.
I think that was Friday night.
Yeah, Friday
night
was cold.
No, it was Saturday, because Friday night we were recording Grizzly. I know it wasn't Friday, but I think it was Saturday. But I was just, and might have just been in my house, might have just been not feeling great in general, but I was freezing. One of the
Friday
days.
and Saturday were both on the cooler side. Friday, I had a hoodie on still. I'm sorry, Saturday I had a hoodie on.
Mm-hmm.
Friday, we had the windows open, and I needed a fucking blanket. I ended up turning off the ceiling fan, which we usually just kind of leave on low all year, and had to get a blanket because it was actually fucking cold at night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Sunday it was 78, 80, and then I think yesterday it hit 91.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds about right.
It's supposed to get up to 87 tomorrow, I believe.
And then I think it's trending back down a little bit for at least the next few days.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was supposed to trend down starting tomorrow, but then over the next few days, it's 82 tomorrow, and then 87 on Thursday, and then it's going to be under 70 on Friday. But it's what happened? What happened to spring?
We haven't had a spring or a fall in decades.
No, we went right from cold to hot, and I hate it because I'm being stubborn as all hell. I'm not turning on my air conditioner.
As usual, which I get it. That does actually have a pretty big impact on your power bill.
And it's fucking April, man. There's no reason that we should have to do that. I'm so mad.
I turned mine on 15 minutes ago. Just it was too uncomfortable. It's always a little warmer upstairs, and I was working up here this afternoon, so I'm just okay, well, it's going to be a little warmer up here. But then, I was sitting downstairs, and, no, it's actually still kind of uncomfortable, even with, the ceiling fan and all on. I'm just going to turn it on for, a couple hours, and then we'll turn it off before bed, and it'll probably be fine tomorrow.
See, that's my thing is, if I were to close all the windows and turn it on right now, by the time my house was cool enough, it'd be time to turn it off. It wouldn't really do much. And even over the course of the next couple of hours, as it's going to get under 60 degrees, or into the 60s, tonight, it's going to cool down a lot. So it's at this point right now, there's no point in turning it on.
Yeah, ours actually cools it down fairly well. It's not crazy fast or anything, but two of our vents are actually behind the sofas, so it comes up right behind us, basically.
It would to get it down to, I think I don't even run it cold, but I think I'd run it around 75, 78. To get it down to that, right now it's at 87. It'd probably take about an hour and a half.
Oh, see, mine was actually reading as 77, and I'm this is uncomfortable. I'm going to turn the air on.
Oh yeah, we've held pretty nicely at 80, but my thermostat is also right underneath my PC. So
so it might actually read a little hotter than what your room is. But yeah, so the problem, and I thought we probably talked about it before, my house is fine until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Because the sun's in front of the house where there's all the trees blocking it from direct sunlight. As soon as it gets on the back side of the house, there's just nothing there. And that's where our living room is. So the living room just bakes in the mid-afternoon. And then it's uncomfortable to sit there. So and because that's where we sit, I'm not going to be uncomfortable and sweaty on my couch. That seems awful.
Yeah, I have the issue of not being able to open all of my windows. The window that I would normally open in the kitchen, I can't reach at the moment. So I can't open the kitchen window, so that prevents the cross breeze. And then same with my upstairs windows. You used to be able to have the front bathroom window open and the back room window open, and that created an amazing cross breeze across the house, which would keep it cool. That room is covered in junk, and I can't even get to the window. So
yeah, can't
do that.
That sucks. But my problem is my allergies are so bad this time of year. unless it's one of those days where like it is too nice outside to not open the windows, I just can't. Like, because if I open the windows, I'm just going to feel like shit for the rest of the day, even with allergy medicine.
Have better allergies.
Dude, I wish. I fucking wish. Like, fuck allergies.
Yeah.
They're the worst. But anyway, we're not here to talk about allergies. I'm not a doctor. I mean, I could be a doctor, I guess. You never know.
No, I don't think you could be a doctor.
You don't know.
I mean, a doctor of robots, maybe.
I could be any sort of doctor I want to be.
I don't know about that.
You're not the boss of me.
I'm not trying to boss you. I'm just saying I don't know about it.
I don't know. Sounds like you're being a boss.
I'm not bossing. I'm not telling you no. I'm just saying I don't know. I don't think so.
But Rich, what is on the agenda?
On the agenda, the two boys over there, Drew and Cobb, you guys saw some music live. We all watched Romeo plus Juliet. And Cobb, you watched the Fallout TV series.
I did. Now give me a second because I have to close the door because Erica's outside, so the dogs are barking.
No seconds.
All right, I'm back. Kaylee can't handle being inside, even though she hates being outside.
Oh.
But yeah. Drew, so you want to talk about concerts?
Yeah, I went to back-to-back shows on Friday and Saturday. Saw Me First and the Gimme Gimmes on Friday. And also, unfortunately, one of the opening bands was Dickie Barrett's Super Spreader band.
Oh.
The Defiant, which, like, you know, they sounded like a punk band with Dickie Barrett as the lead singer.
Which, he's kind of a douche from what I hear.
Apparently everyone in that band is kind of a douche.
Good. That's good.
Which is all why they're in that band and not the bands they used to be in that they all got kicked out of.
Nice.
But then, yeah, the Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, you know, punk cover band. Very funny set. Funny banter back and forth between the singer and the drummer through the bassist at times. Like, the whole bit was the singer was not talking to the drummer, so the singer would tell the bassist to tell things to the drummer, and like it's not like the drummer can't hear him, but
nice.
You know, they were really fun. And then Saturday we were both at the Oso Oso and Spanish Love Song show.
That is true. That was a good show. I had a good time.
It was a good show. Very, very fun.
I will say, Spanish Love Songs, also fun banter.
Yes, also fun banter.
Like one of my favorite like band members talking to each other was when the guitarist told the singer that if he played correctly, he wouldn't break a string, and the singers responded with, "I don't know how to play correctly. I play with passion. You should try it."
That was real good.
Yeah, I'll remember that one for a while.
Mm-hmm. And somehow I'm a magnet for the drunk dudes who want to be friends.
Oh, dude, that guy was all over you. I thought he wanted to be like, he either wanted to be your best friend or your boyfriend. I couldn't tell which.
Me either. And then he disappeared after the show. And so it's like, well, I'll probably never see that guy again.
Yeah. So Rich, so we're actually both like right at the front. Like we're at the rail.
Yeah.
And I'm closer to like the wall. And Drew is closer to like the center of the stage. And this guy who was on Drew's left just like starts talking to him at one point. I couldn't actually really hear what he was saying, but like within like 30 seconds of speaking to you, he's like hugging you and then hugs you again. And then throughout the entire set, anytime I looked over, he just kept putting his arm around you and pulling you in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, either this guy is drunk or really likes Drew.
I mean, definitely the first one. Don't know about the second one, but he was definitely hammered and was just very excited to see Spanish Love Songs for the first time.
And apparently have somebody else in the crowd that also knew them.
You know, not literally everybody that was there, basically.
I mean, yes, like they were the headliners, so you should assume that most people there knew who they were.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, I had never heard of any of the other bands. Like, normally I'll like try to listen to a couple of them like ahead of time just to get like an idea of what like to expect. And I didn't this time.
Yeah, I hadn't listened to the first two bands. I had actually seen Oso Oso open for Taking Back Sunday 2 years ago.
Okay.
Whenever that one was the holiday show for Taking Back Sunday I went to. I don't think that was last year's. So I think that was 2022.
Yeah. I think you're right. I don't think you talked about that going to that this past year. Like
yeah,
the one they do up in North Jersey, right?
Mm-hmm. Up at Starland.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd seen them play before, and I liked them better this time.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, they were good.
Yeah.
I've definitely heard the name before. I've just never listened to them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I was looking up Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. It looks like Fat Mike is still technically in the band. He's just not everybody doesn't always tour.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like it seems like I mean I get it. Like they're all technically in other bands. So you know if one of those bands happens to be touring at the same time, like they're going to need like a fill-in member. And like generally, it looks like most of their fill-in members are like just other people from other bands.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was trying to see if they had listed who was playing bass like this year, but it doesn't look like they.
It was Chris Ward, aka CJ Ramon.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I thought about going to that one. I didn't get tickets, and then it happened, and I'm like, oh shit, that was this week.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I liked the Spanish Love Song show more, but
that's fair. I mean, you also really like them, so
yeah, it's a slight genre preference there for emo over like punk.
Yeah, which is valid. They both have their places.
Mm-hmm. Like I mean, Me First and Gimme Gimmes were hilarious and a lot of fun, and since it's all covers, it's all like, oh hey, I know that song. And like you can get into a bunch of the different of their songs just from having heard, Boys to Men or fucking Elton John or the Beatles. Like,
yeah. I mean, there are songs that back in like high school and stuff like that from Me First and the Gimme Gimmes that I used to listen to that I actually to this day still don't know the actual song.
Yeah.
And like some of the songs are like super catchy. I'm like, I have no idea what this song sounded like whenever it was recorded 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's I mean they have made a pretty good I don't even know what to call it because I don't want to say living because like they're all in other bands, so that's not the right word. I don't know. You're not going to Bad Religion on Sunday, are you?
No.
I kind of want to go, but like they're sold out, so tickets are a little more expensive than I want to spend to go.
Yeah, fair. I'm going to Say Anything on Saturday.
Oh right. Yeah, I don't know. It's Bad Religion and Social Distortion, and that just seems like it'd probably be a good time.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. I wish I had noticed that one like before the tickets sold out because they probably were only like $40 and I would have gotten them for sure.
I mean, I'd say if you really want, just like on Sunday, check the.
That's kind of what I was leaning towards doing is like just waiting and like seeing if like StubHub or Ticketmaster has like the resale tickets like cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, even like wait till like almost showtime because actually for the Me First and the Gimme Gimme show that was sold out, and my friend's brother was looking, and like they already had tickets, but he was just curious. The resale price $500, like an hour and a half before. By 20 minutes before the show, it had dropped all the way back down to like 30.
Wow. Yeah, man. Actually, like this is just on the topic of music. Did you guys see that apparently a bunch of artists like sent a letter to Congress, like a joint letter trying to get them to sign in like an act that would cut back on basically like ticket scalping? Like this basically what is currently legal ticket scalping.
I did not, but good.
Yeah, so like apparently there's already some sort of law that just no one fucking enforces about like using bots or something like that. But this new one is basically like you cannot use bots and you cannot resell tickets for like ridiculous amounts of money. It's like
but who's going to enforce it? No one's going to enforce it.
Well, technically, like Ticketmaster and the outlets would have to enforce it.
Then Ticketmaster would just raise the general prices of tickets.
I mean, you're not wrong, but they don't make anything off of the resales compared to like the regular tickets.
Well, see, that's where sometimes they do.
The
ones that are like the verified resale through Ticketmaster, yeah, they're getting a cut off those.
Oh, see, I was thinking of like StubHub and stuff like that.
Yeah, StubHub, no, but like that's why Ticketmaster has gotten into the whole Ticketmaster resale thing.
Yeah, I highly doubt that Ticketmaster doesn't get any money from ticket sales. Just because if you're using their platform, they're going to take some money from you selling a ticket on your platform.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they definitely have their fees and stuff like that. I'm curious if it's a percentage though, because like
Yes, as someone who has like resold things through Ticketmaster,
they do take a percentage.
yeah, it's like you list it for whatever price, and then it tells you how much you'll get. So, like, say you list it for 40, you would get 36 or whatever it is. You know, I don't remember if it's exactly 10%, but it tells you up front. So, like, you can basically set the price either way, like what price you want to put the face value for, or like decide here's how much money I want from it, and it'll put the listing price as whatever plus the fees that Ticketmaster is going to take.
Okay. Yeah, I've only ever put up something on StubHub once, and it was years ago, and I have no idea how that worked at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, generally, like, if I'm not going, it's usually kind of like a last-minute thing. And, like, it's very rarely a sold-out thing to begin with. So, like, no one's going to buy secondhand tickets when, like, the actual regular ones are available. But, yeah, like, everything about tickets anymore is just absolutely fucking absurd.
Ticket prices are too expensive.
No, they are. They are, and like some of the stuff is like it's not every concert, but like I guess maybe it's certain promoters or certain bands are forcing the Ticketmaster with the venues to actually be upfront about their pricing. So they're like you'll go and you'll sometimes see like the real price of the ticket with all the fees and stuff already added in. So it's not this like, oh, these tickets are only $30. This is nothing, and then you get to check out, and it's suddenly $80 for a ticket.
Well, and that's the problem. Is it's not to me. It's the fact that you can only get these tickets on Ticketmaster or other websites. You can't go to the box office. I can't go to the the SB Center. Is that what it's called now in Camden?
No clue.
But I can't go to the Camden box office and buy tickets from them for $30. I can only buy tickets from Ticketmaster for $30 plus fees. And that's the bullshit. That's my exact asshole when it comes to buying things.
So I know, like, the big venues, I feel like that's right. But I think you can still go to some of the smaller ones and buy them there. I wonder if they actually have to, like, charge fees and stuff, though, because they're not actually selling them themselves.
So I know the Man, you can go to the box office and it's there's no fees unless you're paying with a credit card, but then it's just like a flat $5 fee.
Like the credit card processing fee or whatever.
Essentially, yeah. But otherwise it's the face value of the ticket. But I mean, if you know you're like, okay, I'm going to run out to the box office and you could just take the cash out ahead of time and
right. Yeah, exactly. Like you're not going to randomly end up at the Man Center and be like, oh, there's a show in 2 weeks. I should grab a ticket for that.
Right. Yeah.
Because like I mean, like even when online tickets were available, like there was a point where like you know like we would still go to like Strawbridge's in like the Cherry Hill Mall because they had like the Ticketmaster counter like down in that random basement hallway.
Right.
Or like just take the train into Philly and like walk to the venue and buy tickets because they generally had like box office hours at a couple times a week. Like somebody wasn't in there 5 days a week, but you know, a couple times you could just go and like buy the tickets right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know I saw, so I bought tickets for something corporate when they're playing in June, and they put out a bunch of stuff like around when like tickets went on sale that they were actually working with venues and going in and canceling any orders that looked like they were scalpers or bots.
Yeah, good.
So like any orders that just seemed like it was for like an absurd amount or that they were purchased too close together, they were canceling because like they apparently had a huge issue when they did their shows over New Year's. I want to say it was. I think they did like a December 30th and 31st show in LA, and apparently like a ton of people couldn't buy tickets because bots like nabbed them all up front and then resold them for thousands of dollars.
Oof.
And like, yeah, like that's just super shitty.
Mm-hmm.
Scalpers in general, super shitty. They should all go fucking die in a hole.
Agreed.
Anything else you want to say about concerts though, Drew?
No.
All right. Well, Rich, before we actually go into the book club,
Sure.
We need a theme for next time so that I can figure out what to pick.
Theme?
Yeah, you have a bunch of themes.
I mean, not really, but
You had like 5 of them. I don't have any of them. I'm terrible at that. It was my idea, and I just can't come up with them.
But like even my themes, like we've already gone over, some of them aren't even available anymore.
Well, some
Um,
of the movies that you picked them for aren't available. The themes
yeah,
are always available. We just have to find new things for them.
I mean, we could do like let's see, biopics, remakes, parodies,
Uh,
single takes.
how
Um,
about biopics?
okay, there's a lot of them. Oppenheimer is one of them.
Well, I was going to
Uh,
say there's tons of them, and they kind of like
I was I was going through a list of biopics, and it made me laugh. Leo DiCaprio is in 4 of them, at least.
how many does Martin Scorsese do?
I don't know, but like so it was like Wolf of Wall Street, Catch Me If You Can, The Aviator, and then there was one other one. But it's like it was all Leo DiCaprio. I'm like, wow.
Oh wow, so is Wolf of Wall Street considered a biopic?
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I would think so.
so I know what the movie's about, but I didn't realize it was necessarily about like a real person. I thought it was about.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait! I think I'm getting the Wolf of Wall Street.
You might
mixed
be
with
thinking
the
The Big Short. Yeah, you're thinking
Yeah,
The Big Short.
never mind. Yeah, that's. I was getting movies about similar topics confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like that's also a theme where like you have like serious drama ones
Yeah.
like Oppenheimer, and there's also like more lighthearted ones and like funny ones and
So I'm not probably not going to pick this one because at this point I don't really care. My initial choice for it was Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash movie. I don't know.
oh right.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to pick that one, but I'll have to see. I'll have to look around.
I mean,
But yeah,
all else fails. We got Oppenheimer. It's on Peacock.
we have Oppenheimer. It's on Peacock. There's so many biopic movies. There
There,
are so
yeah.
many.
I mean, look, we could narrow it down. Only do biopics with Leonardo DiCaprio.
I mean, it's but I mean, technically, according to this list, oh no, it's Goodfellas, not Godfather. Goodfellas is technically biopic, but
So it's
yeah,
about Ray Dillinger.
Wolf of Wall Street, The Aviator, Catch Me If You Can. I don't know if there's any others, but then
Would
you got like
Titanic be a biopic?
no, because it's not about a real person.
But like there are real people in it. Like
But it's
Leonardo
not-
DiCaprio is in fact a real person.
Leonardo DiCaprio is a real person, but Jack isn't a real person.
No, I know.
But no, because it's about the Titanic and not about a specific person who was real. I don't think Jack and Rose are real people.
No, they're definitely not. I did fall down like a weird rabbit hole the other day. I don't remember how, but I basically found out that like one of the richest people in the world at the time died on the Titanic, and that like had me go down this weird rabbit hole of like famous people that died on the Titanic and if they were in the movie. And like there were a bunch of people that like were like prominent at the time that had some sort of counterpart in the movie. Like they weren't necessarily named as them. But like
Yeah. I mean, like looking through a list of them, they tend to be a lot more heavy topics. But then you got things like Ali and The Blind Side, which I mean Ali's very heavy, but also it's not super heavy. You have Elvis, you have Bohemian Rhapsody. So yeah, there's so many decent solid movies that are about people. So that can work.
yeah. But I guess with that out of the way, what did you guys think of Romeo plus Juliet?
Boy, that was hard to watch.
I thought it was all right. I thought it was fine. Like I didn't think anything special about it. I knew exactly. I knew what it was going into it, and it's unfortunate knowing this story of Romeo and Juliet. I was not shocked about anything that was going to happen because I've read and have potentially acted out and whatnot the story of Romeo and Juliet so many times that like I know all of this. So to be honest, in a area of I know the story, I know what's going on, I was a little bored, but that's not to take away from the movie itself. It's just I already knew it. I knew what was going to happen. I knew what parts what was next and what was coming out. Like I did totally forget that Romeo gets banished when he kills Mercutio, right? Or
No, he kills
Tybalt.
Tybalt. He kills Tybalt. Mercutio is his
Tybalt
best friend.
killed Mercutio.
Yeah. So like I forgot like he gets banished and everything, and it was interesting to see how they like played out some of the scenes differently. like the balcony scene where he was just hiding on the balcony behind her and she didn't see him, instead of like him being under the balcony watching and listening. But I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was anything amazing. I didn't think it was anything bad. I thought it was just a completely fine movie.
Like, I was definitely kind of bored watching it, and I don't think the acting was very good.
No, definitely not.
Like, they definitely leaned harder into the campiness than...
I think you have to in a movie like this, though.
I mean, you do. I just feel like... And a lot of the people in that movie, like, are, like Leonardo DiCaprio, great actor now. Claire Danes, fantastic actress. But I feel like they were both just...
Paul Rudd, great actor.
Yeah, but, like, I feel like they're all still pretty young in this one.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, they don't have the acting chops to do the campiness and have it actually work as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, they're not child actors at this point. They're in their early 20s.
I looked, Claire Danes, 17.
She had a sex scene at 17. That's wild.
Yep.
It was a different time though, so I guess.
But also, that's why it was very much shot the way it was shot.
It was a fade to black scene.
Unlike the 1960s Romeo and Juliet movie that has an even younger girl playing Juliet that totally is topless, and you see it. And it's like, okay, 60s, this was totally not okay.
Yeah, it was like she was like 17-ish, definitely while they were filming it. And DiCaprio was like 21-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like there was a gap there. Originally, Natalie Portman was cast, who was 2 or 3 years younger than Claire Danes.
Oh, jeez.
And like they very quickly realized, like, oh, she is still a child. Like,
yeah,
we should not do this. And there was somebody else. I'm drawing a blank on it now, who actually turned it down. I'm gonna look it up real quick because there was also Christian Bale went for one of the roles. Sarah Michelle Gellar turned it down due to scheduling conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
Who she would have been also like right in like that like 18, 19 range probably at this point, because I think she was like 20 when Buffy started, and she was playing a sophomore in high school. So yeah, and Christian Bale actually tried out for the role of Mercutio.
Okay.
But they went with the dude from Lost.
Oh, that was Will, right?
Michael.
His name? Michael. Will was his son, right?
Yeah, he was also Link in The Matrix Reloaded, which I always forget.
That's what I recognized him from.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, unless he has like the long hair like he did in The Matrix, I always see him and go, Michael.
Fair.
Mm-hmm. Like I like what they did with Mercutio and made him a little bit more on the bi/queer side of everything, and fed into that line of basically Thibault asking him, like, what are you trying to bang Romeo? I liked that they did that little bit of a subtle change. I don't even know. It wasn't actually subtle, but that little bit of a change. I like when I watch it, I'm like, all right, okay. Because then as far as I can remember, Mercutio wasn't actually queer in Romeo and Juliet.
I mean, none of them were, because it was written in the 1500s.
Yeah. But like, I don't think he was also supposed to be portrayed in that way. Like, but so like, I like that they did that. And I thought that was really good. I liked Mercutio in general. I like how they portrayed Mercutio.
I like John Leguizamo.
Yeah,
just in general, like I think John Leguizamo is actually a lot of fun in most things.
Oh yeah, he's all right, he's not a fantastic actor, but like when you see him in something, you're going to have a good time.
Unless it's The Pest.
I don't know The Pest.
You don't want to know The Pest.
It's notoriously bad.
Okay.
It might be one of the worst rated movies on Rotten Tomatoes.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be shocked if it's double-digit review score.
Oh, you get ready to be shocked. It's 67% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, that's user. Review score is 4%. Or critic score.
Yeah, there we go.
So to be fair, I want to say the user score, there's a lot of ironic like love for that movie.
Like, honestly, pull up The Room. I would love to know The Room's fan score on Rotten Tomatoes, because that probably has to have the highest disparity between critic and fan.
The Tommy Wiseau one?
Yeah.
24% critic, 47%.
Okay. Actually,
yeah.
The Room is better than The Pest. That's surprising.
So I actually think that
I have to ask though, and this is gonna be like this is kind of important. The Pest is a comedy, and The Room is a drama.
The Room sucks. It's
No,
fucking awful
I
in every way.
I've never watched it, but I just know that critics will always say that a comedy is worse, no
But
matter how.
there is literally no redeeming quality about The Room.
I've
Oh,
never watched it.
I've like I said,
We should watch it, but we have to be in the same room if we watch it. It's it's a great fucking movie to sit around with people and fucking watch and laugh at. Would be miserable to watch alone. Like it's just that level of absurd bad. Like it's a good bad movie to laugh at, but it's not a movie to like sit and watch for enjoyment.
Well, didn't Seth Rogen make like a
Yeah, well,
what's his name? Was it? I don't think it was Seth Rogen, but it was that
the
group
Disaster
of,
Artist.
Yeah, the Disaster Artist.
The like parody making of The Room.
Yeah, and then Tommy Wiseau recently released another movie.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Is he? Oh no! I looked up on Just Watch The Room, and for a second I thought that he was, excuse me, in the Disaster Artist, but it's just saying people who liked The Room also liked the Disaster Artist.
Big Shark came out in 2023.
Man, you know what? Good for him.
I mean, apparently he's had other movies. No, he is listed as an uncredited cameo on Wiki for the Disaster Artist. But The Room is his first movie. Homeless in America, The House That Drips Blood on Alex, Bump, Samurai Cop 2, Deadly Vengeance, Cold Moon, Enter the Samurai. He's really likes samurais. He was in the Disaster Artist as uncredited. Best Friends or Best F, and then in parentheses R, and so it's Best Fiends. Big Shark, and then get this, in post-production, The Room returns, and then another one in pre-production, Untitled UFO film. So he's actually been going pretty strong since he released one of the world's most made fun of movies.
Man, good for him. Him and you bowl.
Although like the thing about Tommy Wiseau that unlike Uwe Boll, I think Tommy Wiseau understands that at least now, understands that The Room fucking is terrible, but has leaned into it. Whereas Uwe Boll just believes all of his movies are actually good.
Also, quick correction: everything from The House That Drips Blood on Alex to Best Fiends, he just acted in, and he was an executive producer in Samurai Cop 2: Deadly Vengeance.
So he didn't write, direct, and star in all of them.
No, but it was The Room, Homeless in America, and Big Shark that he directed, wrote, produced, and acted in.
Big Shark's a great name.
Let's see. Big Shark is a 2023 American comedy horror film written, directed, and produced by Tommy Wiseau and starring Tommy Wiseau, Isaiah Laborde. Film is pre-premiere. I just want the fucking plot. I want the basic synopsis. Firefighters who live and work together after saving two children. This is Wiki, so it's going to give me the entire movie and not just the general synopsis. But I guess it's about a big shark. Here's a line.
Listen, if I could tell you anything about The Room, how it relate to Big Shark, his titles are very accurate about what the movies are.
Here's an excerpt from the plot. While playing pool, Patrick and Tim conceive a plan to place a tracking device on the shark, followed in their scuba gear, and feed it dynamite hidden inside a pig carcass.
Yum.
That takes place in New Orleans.
Okay.
But back to Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, I always find it funny when it comes to that play, where it's like, oh, it's the big tragedy, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, no, these kids knew each other for all of a week. But, like, yeah, the more I thought about it, I was like, it is a tragedy because these kids lost their lives due to the conflict between the families. Yeah, they're stupid kids that should not have thought they were in love after 3 hours. But, like, the tragedy to me, and I might be overreading it, is that the fact that they lose their lives due to just the feuding families and not due to stupid love.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, everyone's always like, oh, no, it's a love story, and the tragedy is the love that gets lost because they end up killing themselves for each other, and it's so sweet. It's like, no, it's not sweet. It's not. They're stupid kids that, like, literally got married 12 hours after meeting each other. And they didn't, they all they did was said hi, and that was it.
Yeah, and like I want to say in the actual play, isn't there actually like a pretty gnarly age gap between them?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's never really explicitly said, as far as I could tell. Like, I was looking into it, but it's Juliet's somewhere between 13 and 17, and Romeo's somewhere between like 17 and 21.
Okay, for some reason I thought Romeo was always supposed to be older, like in his like mid-20s.
No, but he might be as old as 21 marrying a 13-year-old.
So, according, I googled what the age gap was, and according to Britannica, it's 16 years for Romeo and 13 for Juliet.
Okay,
That's according to the Shakespeare original story. So it's like a 3-year age difference.
But they are actually children at that point too.
They're children. Like but it's still it's also back then 16 was an adult and 13 was a young adult.
Yeah, I mean, like a 13-year-old woman back then was basically a spinstress.
Yeah,
which is like insane. But yeah, I don't hate this movie. Like I've seen it several times before. It's been probably 15 years since I saw it last, though. Mm-hmm. And the last time I saw it, like it was one of those like I watched it with like 8 other people in a room, and like I didn't really watch it and be like, oh wow, like the acting in this is fucking horrible. And not all of it, just like they're particularly the scenes between Romeo and Juliet are like especially kind of like cringy, and it has nothing to do with their ages. It's just like they're both very young and just delivering those lines and wanting to also be like loving and like sexual. It doesn't work.
It's the story in general. Like in modern days, that story does not work. That story of young love doesn't work, especially in the fact that, like we've already said, they've known each other for 12 hours. Like it's a bad story. But it's
a
classic though.
Yeah,
well, to that point, my one friend was saying, "Why do we learn? Are we taught this story? Like, what is the reason this story has stuck around for 500 years?"
I mean, if you think about it, like, there's a lot of works of fiction that are like that. Like, and not even just that old, but like there are even things just from like last, say, like 150 years. Like, what about these stories make them worth hanging around as long as they do? Like, why is like The Catcher in the Rye such a seminal story versus a contemporary book written at the same time? Like what did that one book do that like the other one didn't?
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, I actually have no idea what Catcher in the Rye is about. It was just the first fucking one that came to mind that wasn't the Scarlet Letter.
So, like, I think in general, the idea for teaching Romeo and Juliet is the idea that love can triumph over hate. It's presented poorly, or maybe in presentation, the timeline gets truncated a little bit. But the idea is that love is better than hate. That's the idea. Love can triumph over hate. Everything that happens in it is just not a great presentation to triumph that. But again, it's one of those, Drew, you talk constantly about tropey things. It's, you take away the trope of everyone's going to end happy. And that's where it gets ingrained into the memory of people. It's like, oh, the two people you care about or are supposed to care about die in this to be with each other because they would rather be with each other than have to deal with their shitty families, which, like, I agree with Juliet. Like, she could not leave her room without her parents say so. Like, she had a shitty home life. Romeo was just a horn dog, but Juliet has like a shitty home life, and if she can't do anything without being seen, to the point where she has to fake her death in order to do what she wants to do. Like, it's a poor product of its time for sure. But like the idea that love over hate is, as I guess, supposed to be the theme that we teach. I also find it funny that, like, whenever you watch TV or shows and they're talking about like doing a play and they're talking about doing Romeo and Juliet, they talk about the big kiss scene. But then when you're watching this one, it's like, when is the big kiss scene? I guess when they banged? Was that the big kiss scene?
Well, there's also like they kiss like 2 other times, and specifically, I think in the play, it's the end.
Yeah. But like generally, I guess I've never seen a high school production of Romeo and Juliet. Our school didn't do it. but like I guess they only do the kiss at the end, which
I mean,
makes
that's
it a big kiss
every
scene.
movie. That's when it is. It's like Sleeping Beauty. It's like that is the scene that everyone focuses on for like the teen play, like them being nervous that like they have to kiss in front of people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which yeah, I don't even remember reading Romeo and Juliet in high school.
I remember we did Romeo and Juliet in high school. Probably freshman or sophomore year. I also had different teachers than you guys did, but the one Shakespeare play I strictly remember doing is Richard III, and that's because we did that senior year of high school, and because we were reading the play, the teacher was like, "All right, everyone has to take parts," and everyone's like, "Well, Richie has to be Richard," and I'm like, "I did not volunteer for this," and they're like, "Well, Richie is Richard," and I'm like, "Great, I suck at reading. Thank you." So
good job. At least you got the lead in the play.
I got to because in that class I'm mixing 2 years up when we did Caesar. I played Caesar and I got to act out being killed by Brutus.
Nice.
Which was fun. That was so fun to do. And my teacher's like, "Wow, that was really good." I'm like, "Thanks. I watch a lot of TV."
I don't read books though, which, you know.
I learned how to act from watching it.
Yeah, I know senior year we did Richard III and we did Macbeth. Because we had to do the whole the soliloquy from Macbeth, the tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in the petty pace from day to day. And like you couldn't use note cards. So you had to memorize like the I don't know, 10 or 11 sentences.
Mm-hmm.
Which like wasn't bad, but also like sucked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I remember of Richard III is a horse, a kingdom for my horse. For a horse.
I don't remember anything of Richard III anymore at this point.
I mean, it's been 20 years.
I might still have the book, but like I said, I was not a big reader. I was not good at reading. I was not good at reading out loud. So I might have just blocked all that out in my memory. I don't remember I know I did it. I don't remember doing it.
I mean, that's fair. No, but hey, now is your chance to act out as a radio drama, Romeo and Juliet.
No.
Come on, you got this. Do the Romeo speech.
What the speech where he's looking up at the balcony, or her speech? Her speech.
The Romeo.
The window breaks.
Yeah.
What light through yonder window breaks? I am the East, and Juliet is my son. That's all I can remember from that one.
Hey, that was something.
And then I know she goes, when she comes out, she's Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Whether 'tis, and then I lose it from there.
Actually, you know what? Good job.
Thanks. Yeah, I look. I agree, Drew. The iambic pentameter is a little frustrating and kind of confusing, but at the same time, like if for people who all know the story, you don't really need to understand what they're saying to know what they're saying.
I mean, I'd say more of my criticism of the movie is how it's shot, and more accurately, the over editing and over cutting from camera to camera in some scenes was just like absurd. Hated it. Like especially the very beginning where there's like a million cuts.
They kind of went crazy with like some of the filming they did for some of the scenes.
Yeah.
I think others were actually filmed really well. The whole scene like from the point like right after the wedding basically through Romeo being exiled, mm-hmm. like Mercutio showing up, challenging Romeo, them fighting. I'm sorry, not Tybalt showing up, them fighting, Mercutio like dying for Romeo, like the chase through the city. Like, yeah, there were some liberties taken with some of that stuff, but like I thought that was like done in like an exciting way. That like for how campy and cheesy a lot of the movie was, like it could have been a bad section.
Mm-hmm.
So how the fuck did the police mobilize so quickly when like one random dude knew Romeo was coming back to town?
The fact that they like did the guard as the police and how they ran that was ridiculous in general. But how did they mobilize? Who knows? But how does the guard know that Romeo is coming back?
I mean, yes, it's just like they had a fucking helicopter sniper like chasing them through the fucking city. Like,
yeah,
how do you know that's Romeo?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that the Muse was the TV broadcaster, was the news broadcaster. That was a great like a great addition. They missed out on one really good adaptation though. They missed out on one thing that they should have done. No one was driving a Mustang instead of riding a horse.
Yeah.
The whole time I'm like,
fun.
why aren't they all driving Mustangs?
Ford didn't want to pay to be in the movie.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
You know what though? I will give them credit. All of their guns had like little plates on them for different swords.
Yeah, that is one thing I did appreciate as well.
It was like the one Mercutio's gun said it was dagger. And then Tybalt's gun was 9mm.
And I forget which parent it was in their like limo and was like, "Give me my long sword," and it's like a rifle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's fun.
Yeah.
I do want the like reverse anachronistic version where it's set in like old England but is using like modern language.
So you want Romeo and Juliet, A Knight's Tale?
Yes, basically.
Is A Knight's Tale a biopic?
Not technically. I don't think.
Sir Ulrich von Liechtenstein.
Sir Ulrich von Liechtenstein is not a real character. I think Chaucer.
Chaucer is though.
Chaucer is, but I think that
this is the origin of the Canterbury Tales.
No, it might technically be a part of the Canterbury Tales, but I doubt it. I'm sure there's a million different things in the Canterbury Tales.
Yeah, but if it weren't for A Knight's Tale, Chaucer would have never gone on to write the Canterbury Tales. He got his groove back by introducing knights at jousts. No, it's all right. A Knight's Tale is just a really good movie. Like, it's a really fun movie, I should say. Like, it's a dumb fucking movie, but it is always fun to watch.
You know, we actually sort of that could have maybe just been included in this adaptations because apparently it draws several plot points from the Canterbury Tales.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's called A Knight's Tale because of that part of Canterbury Tales.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, would have never thought about that. Honestly, I just thought of it because you mentioned the Romeo and Juliet, but like with modern stuff, and that is what A Knight's Tale is basically. Like, it's. I mean, they fucking the crowd sings "We Will Rock You" during one of the fucking jousts.
Yeah, but the scene that like made me really think about that was when Mercutio is dying and it says a plague on both your houses. You just imagine him going, fuck the both of you, fuck both of your families.
Yeah, it's like fuck you, fuck your mom, fuck your dad, fuck your whole family. Yeah, that would actually be funny. I'm sure there is like a YouTube version of that somewhere.
Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like Rich, like you said, you go into this, you kind of already know the story, even if you don't know every like bit of it. Like, you know how it ends. Like, there's not really... Even if you don't know how they get to the ending, you fucking know how Romeo and Juliet ends. And if you don't, you're either too young to be listening to this, way too young to have watched that movie, or, like, living under a rock for 30 years.
The movie was campy. The movie was silly. I think 10 years is old enough to watch that movie with how campy and silly it is. Would they understand it? Absolutely not. But I think 10 years and older. So, like, yeah, I don't think there's a way to be way too young to watch this movie.
I don't know. I feel like 10 is a little too young.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, what's it rated?
PG-13. So yes, it is too young.
It's too young to see
13.
it by yourself. It's too young to see it by yourself. PG-13.
But if you're a parent or guardian over the age of 13, you're okay.
Parental guardians. Yeah, parental guardian under 13. So if you're 10 years old and watching it with your parents, yeah, that's fine. Or with a guardian.
And that is different. Like, if you're watching it with like an adult, like, but like a 10-year-old should not just be like throwing on Romeo plus Juliet.
I mean, if they like Shakespeare, then go for it. You never know. Don't stop them from watching what they want to watch if what they want to watch is potentially considered art.
Is it though?
I mean, it's not trash, is what I'm saying.
Okay, that's fair.
Like it is. Like I said, this movie. It's. I don't think it's a terrible movie. And if you're somebody who likes Romeo and Juliet or who likes Shakespeare, and you're interested in like modern retellings of these stories, this could be. This is one of them. Like, it works. It's legitimately just the script of Romeo and Juliet in 1996 or whatever. I don't know when.
Yeah, this was 96.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it is amusing that when you Google this movie, almost every image that's popping up on like the main page for me is just a close up of Claire Danes making a weird face. But regardless of that, yeah, it's not a bad movie. It's not my favorite movie, but like I'm not offended I watched it again.
No, it's fun, and it's definitely like I think this is one of those movies that, like you said, Kyle, you put on with a bunch of other people, and you just kind of make fun of it or have it on in the background, and like you watch it, but you also laugh at it because, like I said, I think the movie knew what it was, and it went over the top for reasons.
Yeah, I agree with that. Anything else either you want to say about Romeo plus Juliet?
No.
Nah.
All right. Well, I guess for the next book club, do you guys both have Paramount? Am I the only one that doesn't have access to it?
Mm-hmm. No, I don't have it.
And you get a trial for it.
I'm sure I could.
All right. Well, in that case, let's do Catch Me If You Can, because I've never actually seen that, and I've always kind of wanted to.
That's a great movie. It's a great movie.
I mean, I know it's got Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio, so it can't be bad. So yeah. So in 2 weeks, we will watch... no, that is the wrong word. Catch Me If You Can. I put down on my timestamps Next Me If You Can.
Next Me.
Because I was in my head, I was thinking next week or next book club.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so our next one in 2 weeks will be Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. It's on Paramount Plus, apparently.
Nice.
Yeah. It seems like all of those movies are on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street, The Big Short.
Paramount owns Leo.
Actually, War of the Worlds. Where do we line up on that being a biopic?
A War of the Worlds?
Yeah, with Tom Cruise?
That's an adaptation.
I was kidding.
I'm just saying. We could have watched it. It's an adaptation. It's an adaptation of a radio drama.
That is true.
Or I think, which was also an adaptation of I think it was a reading of a book. So it is technically an adaptation of a book. So
I just want to throw out there when I Googled list of biopics, one of them listed one of the like top rated ones, Amadeus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
did that win Best Picture?
I think it may have. I think it beat like another like pretty big fucking movie that year too. You got a 95% on Just Watch.
Yeah, like it's supposedly very good, it's highly well regarded.
According to the wiki, the film was nominated for 11 Academy Awards, winning 8, including Best Picture, at the end of the Oscar ceremony. Laurence Olivier came on the stage to present the Oscar to Best Picture. As Olivier thanked the Academy for inviting him, he was already opening the envelope. Instead of announcing the nominees, he simply read, "The winner for this is Amadeus." So they didn't even do the whole fanfare. But yeah, it won Best Picture.
Nice. Yeah. So if either of you have trouble, it's on Netflix. I've seen it before. We actually had to watch it in college. I had like a music class, and like we watched Amadeus in that. It's a weird fucking movie. It's a real weird fucking movie, but it's fun.
Here's a fun fact. The film, along with The English Patient, Hurt Locker, The Artist, and Birdman, are the only Best Picture winners to never enter the weekend box office top 5 after rankings began being recorded in 1982. So it won Best Picture, but it never took all the money in one weekend. This film peaked at 6th in its 8th weekend in theaters.
Which I'm surprised that's the case, because in a lot of cases, Best Picture winners they're Oscar bait. Like,
yeah, but Oscar bait doesn't always do well in the box office.
Well, that's what I mean. Like,
well, yeah, that's like, only the fact that there's only 5, and like the Hurt Locker is. I don't think the Hurt Locker is very much Oscar bait.
Yeah,
that one isn't. But like, if you look at like the last like 20 years, there's a lot of movies in there that like they were made to win awards. Like, it was not made to be an entertaining movie. And like that's fine. But like, you know what it probably is? It's the ones that are still in the theaters when the nominations get announced, because they get announced 6 months in advance or something like that. Like, and it's only movies from that year. So as long as they came out like in the back half of the year, they probably get like an uptick in theaters after they get announced. I'm just guessing at that. I don't know for sure. But yeah. So that's good. And I guess the last thing we have for this week is I watched that Fallout TV show.
I've been hearing good things.
Yeah.
It was actually really good.
Okay.
It took all the things I like about the Fallout lore and removed all of the bad Bethesda gameplay.
I mean, that's fair.
That's the thing about Bethesda games. the games are kind of a slog to play occasionally, but everything, the story and the lore and everything else about them is fantastic.
Yeah, like,
I like
I've never gotten super into anything related to the Elder Scrolls, but I've fallen down like some rabbit holes reading about Fallout because I think the Fallout storyline is just fascinating. Like the alternate history, sort of like nuclear power really like took off in like the 60s, and just we never really progressed past 1960s technology.
Yeah,
Did in a weird way.
Cool about that like retro future.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so the series is canonical to the games.
Yep.
Which I think is also cool. It takes place after Fallout 4 by a couple of years, like according to like the timeline I looked up. And it's West Coast based, which I don't know how many games were West Coast based other than
none of them.
The first two.
The first two?
Okay.
Yeah, Fallout 1 is California, 100%.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Fallout 2 is as well, and then New Vegas is...
That's what I was going to say. New Vegas was the only one I knew that was out in that direction. I didn't know 1 and 2 were.
Yeah, because Fallout 3 was Maryland and DC.
And 4 is like Boston, right?
4 is Boston, New England, and 76 is
West Virginia.
Yeah, Appalachian Appalachia area. So like kind of Pennsylvania-ish.
Well, it's very explicitly in West Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't they actually play the West Virginia song in the trailer?
They did the West Virginia song, yeah. Right.
But yeah, so this one starts out on the West Coast, very much like a lot of the games from what I know, like main character's a vault dweller who has to exit a vault and like go on an adventure basically. And you got like Brotherhood of Steel floating around. You've got a ghoul, which you would have seen in all of the trailers if you've seen any of the promotional stuff for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it kind of like follows the three of them, like occasionally crossing paths, but kind of like on their own sort of journeys that are all sort of related. Like they're all kind of looking for the same thing, and like they kind of realize that, but like none of them really want to work together per se, unless they have to.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a dog. Like that's the important part. There is a dog.
There's always a dog in Fallout.
And at one point, one of the characters does call him dog meat.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, they got that part right.
I gotta say, I love Walton Goggins, who plays the ghoul. He's fantastic. He's a great actor.
He was so good in the role, too. And, like, I don't want to spoil stuff, but he kind of has, like, he's got a much deeper role than, like, I realized he would have. And he was probably one of the most fascinating parts of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the show did a good job of actually showing us stuff from pre-bombs, too. Like, you kind of, like, you get to see the build-up to it and, like, some of the stuff around Vault Tech and kind of what they were doing, which I thought was cool. Like, knowing that every vault in the games is, like, a different social experiment, and then kind of seeing that in the show, and, like, because, like, Erica didn't know that. So when we were watching it and, like the opening where they're in a vault, and, like, she's like, I don't get it. Why is it like this? I'm like, well, it's an experiment, and they just don't know it. Like, every vault was a different sort of like test for the people that were in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
to me, I think even though it gets a little repetitive, that is a cool thing you learn in every Fallout game, or at least in the modern Fallout games. Is like you always come out as a vault dweller, and it's like, oh, why is this how every vault was? And then you learn like, no, each vault is different. Each vault is a new one. So for a newcomer to the Fallout series, like that's something you would just naturally learn when you're playing the game, or I guess watching the series. And I was like, oh, okay, these people are bad. And then I read about a pseudo spoiler about the series, and how the war started, and I'm 100% into that.
It's probably true. I don't want to actually say it because the show it's less than a month old, and I know you haven't really watched it yet.
I haven't gotten a chance to watch it, but this is one of those shows that everyone's in, and so I'm just naturally seeing like bits and clips, or like literally fucking Nerdist or other sites saying like, oh, here's the big thing about the big news and how the war started. And it's like, well, I didn't watch this, and that's literally the first thing I see is you saying the big thing.
And like it sucks because that's like the last thing you learn in the show almost.
Yeah.
It's like the last episode or the second to last episode you kind of learn about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you learn more about the war. You actually learn more about the idea of all the vaults being experiments and kind of how that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And like they don't dive into like tons of different vaults or anything like that. But like your starting one, the one where like the main female character is from, like I think their setup is cool. It's a this is like a minor spoiler. It's 3 like connected vaults. So it's 31, 32, and 33. And they're isolated from each other, but to like keep their breeding population basically, they can volunteer to either go to a different vault to be like arranged married or to come to a different vault to be arranged married. So like this way, like again, like your breeding population isn't intermingling too much. But it was neat to kind of like see the full vault kind of working. Because the only Fallout I've ever played was I played the first like maybe 5 to 8 hours of Fallout 4, and like that vault, like that was like a cryostasis vault, and like everything was shot to shit when you wake up, so you don't really get to see much in that one.
Yeah, if you want to, Fallout 3 is probably the best example of like similar to how Fallout the series starts, where it's like you were born in Vault 101, I believe, is Fallout 3.
Pretty sure that's right.
And like you raised in the vault. So that is like the best example of what it was like, what it'd be like in that world to be raised in that vault. But like the story again, and like I know this is a 30-year-old game. Turns out you weren't born in Vault 101, and you happen to just enter into the vault at some point, and then your dad leaves, and then eventually you leave.
Which yeah, that seems right. And so like I like minor like spoilers from like the first episode, like you are actually on a mission to go find your dad who has exited the thing. But as far as I know, at least leading up to the end of the season, like it's not following that same plot of like you're not actually from the vaults. Like like she was born in the vaults as far as like the show has told us so far. So it's not copying that exactly. But her dad is also Kyle MacLachlan, so like that's good. Like that show had like a good cast. Like there were a lot of like actors that would kind of like pop up here and there. Ben from Lost is in like an episode as like a scientist, maybe 2 episodes. Eric Estrada has like a brief cameo.
Nice.
Yeah, like just like fun little like pop-ups here and there. There is one character who's literally called Brain on a Roomba. I only know that's its name because we paused it while that character was on screen, and Amazon Prime has the that X-ray thing where it tells you like the actors and the character they're playing underneath of it. And like that was the first one. It was a picture of the actor, and underneath of it just said Brain on a Roomba.
Nice.
I'm like, all right, yeah. Like, sorry, go ahead, Rich.
No, go ahead.
There was like some other like little things that I knew from Fallout. Like there's a Mr. Handy at one point that you see. There's like Radaway and like the giant like roaches and shit like that. Raiders for the vaults are a thing. So like they definitely did a good job of like pulling in stuff that people would be familiar with from the games without like just shoving it down your throat.
Cool.
Yeah. That's good. And the 100% is definitely not. It shouldn't be following the story of Fallout 3. The story of Fallout 3 is your dad was a scientist who was trying to clean the Earth's water after the attacks and needed a place to hide, and that's why he went to the vault and went back. And so if this is years after Fallout 4, this is years after Fallout 3, which the end game of that is you actually start to clean the water, I believe. So unless like they're developing the technology on the West Coast to help clean out the oceans faster, it shouldn't be following that same story.
Okay, I mean that makes sense. There is one part very early on where you know they're in California, like what, like just because of when she comes up, like it's very obvious that they're out in California, and then she gets told to go to Philly.
Yep,
really?
And I'm like, yeah, and like that same episode she gets to Philly. But it turns out it's Philly with an F, and it's just somewhere in California.
Okay.
Like, it's just like a little, like, settlement sort of thing. Well, I guess, like, like for that world, it's a fairly large town, but it's like a Western town that you'd see, less of a like city.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I feel like the little bit I know, like New Vegas is actually kind of like a city again, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on one second. Ben wants to leave the room, so I'm going to open the door for him. Sorry, he was headbutting the door. He's like,
oh, buddies.
And it's like the door doesn't open that way. It's a pull door. But what was I going to say? Shit. But yeah, so I just thought that was funny because as soon as they said Philly the first time, Erica and I looked at ourselves. I'm like, they're on the West Coast. Like, is this whole season just her going to the East Coast?
Mm-hmm.
And no, they quickly squashed that. But yeah, I mean, there's power armor in the show, which was cool. Though I will say the power armor doesn't actually look that good. Like, sometimes it looks neat, but other times it looks very fake and like it looks like foam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, and there are definitely bits and pieces where like the show is a little campier than others, which is, it's not like a bad campy, but it's a little jarring. I will say that they do a really good job of having the main character, her name's Lucy, use the phrase okie dokie. So in the very first episode, there's a thing that happens, and she's a little taken aback by it, and then she just goes, like, shrugs and goes okie dokie, and like goes with it. And then the end of the second episode, she has to cut off somebody's head with a chainsaw, and the body's already dead, so it's not like she's killing the person. But like she's very much against it, and then she just kind of like sits down, turns the saw on, and just goes okie dokie, and just starts cutting off the person's head.
Nice.
I'm like, okay, that's you guys at least have some sort of sense of humor about this. Good.
Yeah.
That is required. And there's some real gross fucking like creatures too. There's what are those like amphibian fish dudes that have the legs like
mud crabs?
No, they look like little tadpole sort of guys with like big heads, but they have legs like quaxicodals or something like that.
Oh, wait, are axolotls?
Yeah, those. There is something that looks like a giant one of those, but the inside of its mouth is all fingers.
Whoa.
I don't mean their teeth are fingers. I mean the entire inside of their mouth are fingers. Like the roof, the tongue, everything is just wiggling fingers. And you don't realize that. You think it's just some sort of like weird like antenna or something like that until it zooms in on it when somebody's being eaten, and you realize they're all like index fingers wiggling. And it is fucking horrendous. But also kind of neat because like who the fuck would have thought that's what radiation does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love him. Look at him. He's adorable.
Did you just look up the thing from the show?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I really liked it. I liked all the weird lore and stuff that they dug into. I liked being able to look at the Fallout timeline afterwards and like see where this fit. And there's a major thing that happened in universe prior to Fallout 4 actually that is revealed in this game, that it would happen sometime between New Vegas and 4 because the place is referenced in New Vegas. So there's like that cool like, okay, so this show is also adding to the lore, not just kind of taking place somewhere along the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was neat, since the last couple of games were East Coast. There would be no reason for the games on the East Coast to have any idea that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, good show. It's only 8 episodes. Some of them are like the slightly longer, like they are an hour 10 minutes. So you definitely want to look at those run times before you start them, just in case you have like a hard stop for something.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a really fun show, and I'm glad that we sat down and watched it.
Nice. It's definitely on my list of things I want to watch, but I'm right now watching through the X-Men 90s series, so I can watch X-Men 97.
How far into that are you?
I am at the end of season 2. So
Okay.
It's the last 2 episodes. It's called Reunion, and it's where they finally go and rescue Professor X from the what is that island called?
Oh, Mur Island, I want to say.
No.
Is that not
the Badlands or whatever?
Oh, we're with the dinosaurs and shit, right?
Yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah,
what is that place called?
I fucking don't remember. I know what's being talked about. Can't remember its name for the life of me.
Damn it, I'm actually looking it up. It's in Antarctica. Savage Land. The Savage Land.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
so
it is a major place in Marvel Comics, and I'm just like, I drew a complete fucking blank.
That's season 2 is when Professor X and Magneto get caught up there. Like, the one thing that, like, I mean, I watched this show as a kid. I did not know that, like, it's literally an ongoing story. Every episode, it's seldom in these first 2 seasons that there is an episode that does not follow a prior episode.
Yeah.
It, like, the only one so far, I just watched my first filler episode, and it's called Mojo Vision, and it's where Mojo kidnaps the X-Men from their universe into his universe to turn them into TV stars. That was, like, the first one I've come across where it's like, oh, this does not matter, and it does not, nothing affects anything. But, like, for the most part, the show literally follows itself, which in the 90s for a kid's cartoon, that's wild.
Yeah,
that's
like,
wild.
It not only does it follow itself, but like it tells some pretty like detailed stories.
Yeah.
Because I'm not at the end of season 2, but like I've every once in a while I throw it on and watch a couple episodes. The most recent one I watched is actually the one where Professor X and Magneto meet on the mountain, and then like a rock slide happens or something like that.
That's season 1. That's like the end of season 1. No, that's mid season 2 or early season 2 actually.
Yeah, I'm only maybe like 5 or 6 episodes in. That's how the episode ended, but that was also the one with like Scott and Jean were on their honeymoon.
Yeah,
and Sinister.
That was Till Death Do Us Part 1 and 2. So that's the first 2 episodes of season 2.
Did I only watch 2? I thought I watched like 3 or 4. Because like Morph came back and everything.
That's Morph comes back in Till Death Do Us Part episode 1.
Oh,
or
wow.
Season 2 episode 1.
Huh.
It's when Morph comes back. Yeah.
I definitely thought I watched a couple more of that second season.
Yeah, but then like you have in that second season, you have stories where it's like the Shadow King, you have like Gambit's backstory, you have Rogue's backstory. Like they friggin' have 2 instances of time traveling in season 1 and season 2. They do Days of Future Past in season 1. They basically do another run of Days of Future Past in season 2, but it's time fugitives.
They eventually do Dark Phoenix.
So yeah, season 3 is Phoenix and Dark Phoenix. So season 3, episode 3 through episode 8, or episode 3 through episode 7 is the Phoenix Saga, and then episode 14 through episode 17 is the Dark Phoenix Saga. Well, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to watch like 1 or 2 episodes a night. Sometimes I might not be able to get through an episode, but I want to watch 97, and so like I know I've never watched the series all the way through, and I've actually started it a number of times, and each time like I'm just like I don't stick with it. This is the first time I've stuck with it, and it's good.
Yeah, I very much like that show, and I've heard really good things about 97.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good about 97.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I saw because like they didn't get every voice actor back. I don't know if like some of them didn't want to do it, if some of them just are retired or have passed away or anything like that. But I know Gambit isn't the original voice actor, but whoever took over for him is like being praised. Like apparently they are nailing Gambit's like as close to Gambit's voice from the show as possible.
Yeah,
which like him and Rogue probably had the 2 most like recognizable voices.
Rewatching, I never realized how much of an accent Storm had when I was a kid.
Yeah, she does have one, but I feel like it's not as pronounced as Rogue and Gambit are. Because like she has like an accent, but like generally still says stuff normally.
Yeah.
Rogue and Gambit, like Gambit's a Cajun and Rogue is Southern. Like they both use a lot of like weird slang and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like that's one of those things like that's written into their characters in the comics. Like reading anything that has Rogue or Gambit talking is at times a little hard to decipher because like they're written the way they talk in like the show. And I honestly don't know if that was a thing that they started doing after the show or if they were always written like that and that's why they talk like that in it. But either way, like it's a fun time.
Yeah.
Man, I'm scrolling through the episodes. There were a lot of good episodes in this.
Yeah, it's there. I have not, with the exception of Mojo Vision. That's the first episode where I was just like, man, this is dumb. And I didn't need it. But there's a couple of other episodes. There's at least one or two other episodes with Mojo in it. So I was like, I guess I have to watch it.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of Mojo in general. Like, very rarely do I think his storylines are even remotely interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they're usually kind of like all samey. Like, he is one way or another trying to use the X-Men for his alternate dimensional television network.
Yeah.
And like, that's okay the first time, and then it sucks every time after that.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, you get like characters like Longshot, who like, I don't know if Longshot's in
He is.
Is he?
Yeah, he's in the first episode of Mojo Vision, and then he comes back as in later episodes with Mojo in it.
Oh, nice. Like, Longshot's actually kind of like a cool character, but like he's so connected to Mojo that like it makes you not like him. Well, not like him, but like you don't necessarily like when he shows up because it's usually going to be a Mojo story.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's right. The Starjammers show up in this show. Cyclops' dad.
Captain America's in an episode. Friggin' Carol Danvers as Miss Marvel is in an episode.
Yeah, I mean she was Miss Marvel for 30 years prior to becoming Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that's how Rogue gets in this series. I don't know if it's always, but like that's how Rogue gets her strength in flight is she takes too much of her powers. And so she then always has it. But like I don't know how they change that or fix that in normal comics.
That is actually what happened in the comics. Like there was a period where Carol didn't have her powers.
Okay.
Because Rogue drained too much of her. Because Rogue was also a villain originally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what they did in the show. Rogue was with Mystique and her Brotherhood.
Oh yeah, because Rogue is in some way, shape, or form Mystique's daughter.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if it's her biological daughter or adoptive daughter, but like they are like she calls her mom in the comics even now.
In the 90s cartoon, it's adoptive.
Yeah, well that's the thing. I just don't know where the comics went with it. Yeah. But yeah, she was an Avengers villain when she originally debuted before becoming an X-Man. And yeah, actually just a couple years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, there was actually Captain in the Captain Marvel book with Carol. There was like there's a storyline where she kind of had to confront Rogue for like the first time at like proper since that had happened to them years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So like that is actually still a thing that gets brought up. Like even now, like they've made it so the two characters are on like good terms. But anytime that like a Captain Marvel comic brings up Rogue, there's always like those captions about like Carol still being uneasy just because of what she went through because of Rogue, even if it was unintentional.
Yeah.
But yeah. And there was a crossover with Spider-Man too. I think that was actually in the Spider-Man show though.
What with the 90s cartoon?
Yeah.
I did not know that. But like there's episodes with like there's an episode in the last season where Wolverine is reminiscing about doing spec ops with Captain America. And like cuz I've been reading through trying to figure out like how many episodes are left and what episodes there are and which ones may or may not be necessary to watch. And there's even episodes with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Which, like, I did not know they went that deep into, like, the lore of X-Men. And it's wild to me.
Yeah,
wild
I mean, like,
how deep they went with this show.
Like, if you think about it, like, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch shouldn't be that deep. They were two of the original villains the X-Men fought before becoming, like, Avengers and stuff like that later on. But, like, this show fucking... Like, I'm scrolling through it, like, season 5, like, Cortez is in it, who is he's a power enhancer, I think is what he can do. Like he can make people's mutant abilities like more powerful and has like just the craziest fucking ego. And he was like a villain for a long time. And like he's in it. And he's like he's not like the character that you think of when you think of X-Men. Even like fucking Cannonball is in this.
Yeah.
They apparently get into Sinister's backstory at some point.
Yeah, I think that's season 4 or 5.
It looks like 5.
Yeah, there's even there's an episode where Professor X reminisces about the First Class.
Right, I saw Iceman shows up eventually.
Well, no, like this is like one where like Beast is wearing his Beast, Cyclops, Jean, and Angel are wearing their yellow and black costumes.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool. I don't remember that at all.
No, it's season 4, episode 5. Xavier remembers.
Oh, that's kind of cool. suffers a slight concussion.
Yeah. Professor X suffers a slight concussion, leaving him open to manipulation.
But yeah, I want to say it's like the second or third season of the Spider-Man animated series. When did you watch that show at all?
I'm sure I did as a kid, but like I don't have as much memory of it.
Do you by chance remember when he was like mutating and like growing the extra arms and stuff like that?
Yes.
So during that like story arc, he goes to the X-Men because he wants help with his mutation. And there's like a 2 or 3 episode arc for it. And then some of the X-Men show up again during Secret Wars. I want to say it's Storm and Wolverine. Because they do a Secret Wars in that where it's Spider-Man is the leader. They don't do the symbiote suit at that point because he's already had that. But Storm, Wolverine, I want to say like Captain America and a couple other people get recruited. And that then leads into him having to do the Spider-Verse before the Spider-Verse was a thing. Where like one of the Spider-Mans is one that has 6 arms because he's at like mid-mutation. One of them is fucking Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider. And they have to like, I forget who they have to fight, but they have to go take somebody down.
Secret Wars Chapter 2, The Gauntlet of the Red Skull, and it's got Lizard and Iron Man in it. That's, yeah, Spider Wars.
Is that what they called it? Spider Wars?
Spider Wars Chapter 2, yeah. It's the last season. It's the last 2 episodes of Season 5.
Yeah,
this might be on my list to watch next.
That was a big fuck you, because that show ended, like, that's how that show ended. It ended with, you find, like, Spider-Man, I think it's in that season. In Season 5, Spider-Man finds out that the Mary Jane that he had, like, been married to was a clone and, like, dissolves and dies. And then you find out that the real Mary Jane had fallen into a portal, like, 2 seasons prior with the Green Goblin. And the fucking series finale is Madam Web going, I know where she is. Like, I'll take you to her. And, like, Spider-Man getting ready to travel into, like, the Spider-Verse, basically, to go get her. And then instead of them bringing that back, they brought in, like, Spider-Man 2033 or something where he goes to opposite Earth or whatever. Spider-Man Unlimited. So while that is not a direct continuation, that is still supposed to be canon, like 616 Peter Parker.
Yeah,
and he goes to counter Earth. It is Earth's exact replica that we've never found before because it is always on the opposite side of the sun. Yeah, it's that show actually wasn't that bad.
I might have to add the Spider-Man 90s cartoon at some point to my list of things to watch. I have too many things to watch.
If it's on there, also watch Spider-Man Unlimited. It's only 13 episodes.
Is Spider-Man Unlimited on here? I don't think it is. Nope, it is. It is.
Yeah, it was real. It was like campy dumb, but like also kind of fun because it was kind of the blending of Spider-Man 2099 with like regular Spider-Man because they weren't going to do a 2099 and just confuse the hell out of everybody.
Yeah,
but like having it be Peter and have like a similar suit and similar like stuff going on this alternate Earth was okay.
Yeah.
And those 90s cartoons, not bad.
No, not at all. Like I'm surprised though, as like I said 100 times, like these are kids shows. I am so surprised and so shocked that like they actually went hardcore into like the story and having a logical story continue and take place part after part after part. Like you don't expect that from cartoons. I barely expected that with Power Rangers, and Power Rangers didn't do it all the time, but did it for the most part. But like a cartoon from the 90s, you would never expect something like that. It's wild.
Yeah, not at all. And like even some of the other like contemporaries back then, like Batman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond, like those also had like, it might not be direct sequels, but like stuff played between episodes. Like if like a villain reappeared, that villain like would occasionally make reference to something that happened.
Yeah.
And like there's that one episode where like fucking Batman dresses up as a villain and like convinces a bunch of the other villains to go try and kill Bruce Wayne or something stupid like that, just for shits and giggles. And there's also Heart of Ice that I think won a fucking Emmy. That's the one with Mr. Freeze. That episode of Batman the Animated Series is the reason that Mr. Freeze has the backstory he does now. Because in like the 60s and 70s, that character was just like a joke character. He had no real motivation beyond stealing things. And then in like 1992 or whatever, the animated series had him voiced by like an iconic actor and gave him this tragic story of like he wasn't really a villain. He was trying to save his dying wife, and just no one would help him, so he had to turn to crime. And like that stuck around for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else either you guys want to talk about?
Nope.
Then I think that will probably do it. Unless Rich, you have anything?
No, not this week.
I know you said you wanted to finish up a little early so you could record. So
yeah, stream. Yeah.
Or yeah, I'm sorry, stream. So yeah, well, we will call it there for this week then. If you would like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, you can always support us by liking us, following us, subscribing to us, all those things on your favorite podcast platforms. So Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Instagram and Twitter. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo. And you can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. And Rich, what is your streaming?
Twitch.tv/B_walnuts. We're on video game streaming Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Let's see, what should I talk about? Primarily for this week, at least, on Friday the 3rd, right? I am celebrating reaching 450 followers over on Twitch, so we're doing some Among Us. So come hang out and be suspicious, and try to kill everybody. Other than that, my 3-year stream anniversary is coming up the first weekend of June, and what I'm doing is a Super Mario Odyssey Moon Rush. Basically, dependent on how many subs, followers, and bits that I get leading up to and during the stream, determines X amount of moons that I have to get while playing Super Mario Odyssey. There's 999 moons, so we're not going to run out. If at any point in time I get all the moons, I stop playing and just sit there and talk. If the stream ends by the time if I have all the moons that you guys have purchased, basically, by the end of the first day's stream, then that's the end of the event. Otherwise, I have to pull in the next day. And the event continues every time I play Mario Odyssey until I get all the moons you guys have purchased. So, you could potentially get me to get 999 moons. Could, potentially.
Wait, what were the moons?
The power moons. They were the stars.
Oh, were they moons in that game?
Yeah, they were power moons.
There were 999 of them?
There's 830, and then there's an additional 170 from, I don't know if it was DLC or something else. But yeah, there's a lot. And like, you get them very frequently. Like, they're not hard. They're not like other 3D Mario games where it's like the level like you go into the level one time and you get that one moon and then you go in to get the next moon. It's like you go into the world and there's like 17 moons that you can get right there. It was, if I remember correctly, like, it's not very strictly level based in that one, and you can get moons very frequently and very common. And so, like, my payout, for instance, let's say you give me 1,000 bits, that's like 20 moons I have to get. So I'm making it worth your while. And so, if at the end of Saturday and Sunday I don't have all the moons, I have to play. I continue to play it until I get all the moons. But every time I play it, if you subscribe, give bits and things like that, that's going to add to the moon count until I get them all and end the stream, or we reach 999.
So is it like one subscription equals one moon?
One sub equals 5 moons. A tier 1 sub equals 5, tier 2 equals 10, and tier 3 equals 15. 150 bits equals 1 moon. 500 bits equals 5 moons, I think.
And how much are bits?
I don't. It depends. Like I think like $7 for 1,000 bits or something like that.
Okay.
I don't remember. I don't know. I don't often buy bits. But it's like, say you give me 1,500 bits, it's the total plus another 10. So for every 5 after 1,000 that you give me in one run, that's an additional 10. So if you give me 3,000 bits, that's 40. That's like 50 moons right there that I have to get. It's definitely making it more worth your while to do this. But also, once Saturday and Sunday end, I don't always have to play Mario Odyssey. But when I do, the more you give me, the more I have to do. But like, it'll be like every 1 or 2 days a week, I'll be playing Mario Odyssey to get everything.
Okay. So that makes a little bit more sense then.
Yeah, it's not like it's a sort of subathon, basically.
But not.
But not. So, like, last time I did a subathon last year, we barely made it 3.5 hours. This time it's like, all right, instead, I will be streaming all day on Saturday, the 8th. And if I get all the moons from any new followers I get from now until then, adds 1 moon. Any subs I get during that month before the event adds 2 moons.
And this is June 8th.
It's June 8th. And everything I get during that event adds X amount of. If, say, 2 hours in, I have all the moons, I stop playing and I sit there and I just talk to you guys until the end of stream. And if the stream ends with me having all the moons, then the event's over. And I don't have to play Mario Odyssey anymore. If the stream ends and I still have 100 moons or 5 moons, then I have to play the next day until I get the moons. And you can continue to keep donating to add to this.
Now, are you giving yourself any stipulation on on what moons to get?
No.
You can if you have to get 5 moons, you can just grab the easiest 5 in the game. Or are you starting from a new file?
It's starting the game new. So I won't be playing what I already have. It's starting a new file, and just basically the idea is to play the game and beat the game with all the first set of moons that get ordered. And then after that, it's, all right, let's clear each world. There's no real stipulation. I'm sure I could figure out a way, if somebody wants me to get a specific moon, I could add a specific cost to that. I haven't thought that.
That would be end game after you complete it, because there are those moons that are just incredibly hard to get, the crazy platforming ones.
The literal moon level to get all the moons, where the gravity is different and things like that. Yeah. But no, if we end up getting 999 moons, that's going to be some of the moons I have to get.
So you might keep playing Mario Odyssey till the end of time.
Possibly. Look, the moons aren't very uncommon. You probably haven't played it since it launched, but you get a lot of moons fast. You need to go from one world to another, you need 20 or 30 moons sometimes.
So I remember them being early game, you do get them pretty quickly, but I was just thinking more towards the end game where post end game when everything unlocks and you can just go start collecting them. That's where that's where you start getting some of those ones that are hard to fucking get.
Some of them will be hard to get, but I don't know how many moons you need to get to beat the game, and I don't think I'm going to need to get more than 200 moons.
I mean, that seems accurate.
It's really dependent. Like I said, last year when we did a subathon, I started at noon. I gave myself 3 hours, and we went for 5. So I got maybe 2 new subs and maybe 50 bits or something, or maybe 200 bits or something like that. I don't remember, but we didn't go long last year. So I'm trying to push and promote this more. I'm going to be sharing it more and seeing if this works again. Because my first subathon, I went 24 hours.
And hopefully you don't have to reschedule like you did. Because I remember last year you got thrown off because you were promoting it for the 1 week and then I forget what happened.
My hand.
Right. Definitely hope that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
But
look, he's already bitten me once in the last month, so he shouldn't bite me again.
I mean, hey, if it's once a year, that's not too bad.
It's once every 5 or 6 months at the moment.
Okay, it's twice a year. That's not so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully, nothing comes up that you have to reschedule, because I feel that threw you off a little bit too. Because you were promoting it for that 1 weekend, and then the day before, you're I can't.
Yeah, I couldn't hold a controller.
Yeah.
So, I could barely hold a controller. I couldn't comfortably hold a controller.
But with all that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. So thanks for listening. Bye.
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 See yous.